for joining me today. A friend of mine recently popped round and she brought with her 4 sets of jumpsuits which she needed to have the trouser leg shortened. Each one has a different length to be taken off. What I did do was I got her to try each pair on, and the reason is that they're lycra, so they might hang slightly differently. When I've done wedding dresses and ball gowns, I've encouraged people to put their shoes on because you usually only wear one style of shoe. When it comes to trousers, I get people to put them on and I measure down to the ground and then take it up maybe 1/4 of an inch, 1/2 centimetre. And that's because women tend to wear flip-flops with trousers or high heels or boots. So I don't like them to wear the shoes that they think they're going to wear because we always change our mind for the occasion. So let's get on with that. This is the back of the trouser leg. I just put a pin in on this side to the length that I needed to take it to, and using this, so I need to fold this up 2 inches all the way around. Because it is such a small length, I'm not going to cut it off just yet. I'm going to iron the crease in first and then I'll cut it back. I think that's it, 2 inches, 2 inches, 2 inches. I have the heat on synthetic, so let's see how that goes. Sometimes you can put it up just a little bit. I'm also going to take that out. I don't need that in there anymore. Let's have a look. It might not be quite hot enough. I'm going to put each one on synthetic first. Yeah, there's not much for crease there, so I'm going to put the heat up just a little bit. Let's move that and start again. I'm going to have to do this carefully all the way around. If I can get a little bit of steam on there, that usually helps. Always keep your seams in line. There we go. Let's steam that in. That's that side. And you can see that it's actually holding the crease a lot better. And that's the key to putting any hem up, is to make sure that that crease is where it needs to be. I'm going to go from this side seam to the other side seam and measure it as I go. Always do it in small sections and don't hurry. If you hurry, you're going to make a mistake. Here's the other side seam. Pop that in place. Then back to where I started. It looks like it dips down in the centre there, so I'm not happy about that. I'm going to just bring that up a wee tad. There we go. And then iron from that side to that side. Just press it into place and steam. I know they've got nearly 3/4 of an inch in the hem. I'm not going to be able to do the same because they've got the stitching here. I don't want to put a hem inside the hem. All I'm going to do is I'm going to cut off that base hem here all the way around, and so that it doesn't wobble too much, I'm just going to do one side at a time. And I think 2 of the jumpsuits are identical fabric. There's another one that's quite similar to this. I've got my crease in, it's quite firm, I won't need to change that. Now I'll do the other leg. There we go. So that's folded up 2 inches, and I'll just press that into place as I go around, just like I did on the first leg. I've got the hem that I took off, and I'm going to see how well this sews on a straight stitch. I only need to do a couple of inches length just to check. It doesn't look too bad. It's a little bit wrinkled, but I think once that's repressed it'll be fine. Now, because I'm going to be putting thicker fabric through, because it's 3 layers, I'm going to check what 4 layers looks like, just to give me a better idea. Because what I'm going to do is fold the raw edge into the crease and do it like a normal hem. But I'll see how this looks. That looks a lot firmer and it doesn't wrinkle, so I think I'll be fine doing this hem. Now, I'm not really sure why, but I always start close to the inside leg seam. Fold this up, cross that over. There's the best way of doing it, and then up. Just takes so much bulk out, otherwise you end up stalling right there. Just start a little way forward of the seam because you're going to go over it anyway, and because I'm doing it slowly and carefully, I don't need to pin it, but pin it if you need to. Don't work on it if you don't think you can do it without pins, otherwise you have very wonky hands. I'm going to roll that in. I'm going to try to keep it within about 1/8 from the top of here. I don't want it to wander down too much to the bottom, otherwise it's going to look uneven. Take it slowly. The other thing I've noticed with this fabric is I have to pull it to this side rather than let it go straight on. You're going to have that with some fabrics. They twist as they go through, so they just need to be twisted the other way so it's not so much of a problem. Partly it's due to the fact there's a slight curve on there, and partly because the fabric just twists anyway because of in this case, the lycra that's in there. So I'm just pulling it slightly this way and just pat it into place. Try to keep the weight evenly distributed. These are quite wide trouser legs or pant legs depending on where you're from. I don't want them pulling the fabric in the wrong direction and then causing the seam to look a bit wonky. And also, I don't want to be pulling like that. I want it to go in as it should. If you're to do a number of items that are stretchy, I would actually invest in a nice walking foot, not a cheap walking foot. A cheap walking foot will not work properly. I think I got this to work with my Janome sewing machine, but it works with this Singer as well. I just have to adjust where the centre of the foot is for it. And now I'm coming into here, it might go a bit funky. If you need to, use a stylus of some kind. I'm pushing back through so it doesn't twist. I think it'll be fine. Once it's ironed, it should be perfect. If not, I'm going to have to do them all by hand. There we go. Almost round to the other side where I started. And we're coming into the first side that I started from. I'll make sure both sets of threads are facing down as I come in and push that down and across my stitching. Now I'll do the second leg exactly the same way. I have 2 sets of jumpsuits with a very long hem that I have to take up. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to measure down to there, which takes me to 5 1/4. I am going to cut off 4 1/4 because I want to have at least an inch going in to the hem. So I'm going to cut it back to here so I can fold it in. Remove this and this one here, and I'm going to have to cut round the base first and then put it up. If you look at this, when I do flatten it out like that, the front actually goes up slightly. So I'm not going to just cut straight, I'm going to cut it to that shaping. So I'm going to start here. There's my 4 1/4. Take it to there. I'm only going to cut the top piece of fabric to that point all the way across. I would find it very hard to iron this up that distance, and that is why I'm doing it this way. So if you've got a short hem, it's better to fold it up, iron it in place and then cut it. But if it's a long hem, it's better to cut it and then iron it up. So both methods work, but for different reasons. Now the chances are that they just wanted it lower on the back to cover your heels and a little bit higher on the front so your shoes will show, or that it just wasn't cut very straight. Slide that under there like that so it runs across the base and cut. I will repeat this on the second trouser leg. These are such wide trouser legs that it won't notice if they're slightly wobbly. Hopefully they're not, and I'll use this to practice on. Now I'll do the other leg. And now I'm going to iron this up an inch all the way round. Plenty of steam so that it holds it. And you can see where the crease is there, so I'll bring that up and bring it into this seam here. And use plenty of steam. Don't iron it, just press it, because you don't want to stretch anything. And I'll do the same on the second leg of here. And I know the black set have to be done this way as well, because they are very long. This black one is very similar to the white one. I had quite a chunk to take off first. I'll roll that down, put that underneath, and then sew. See how it goes. As I say, it's easier to test each one before you actually work it on the item, because you don't want to spoil the item. Now let's see what's going on here. Not particularly happy about that white showing, so I'm going to investigate and see if it shows with their stitching, and the answer is yes. There's patches of white showing here too. Always check what the original was like, and if you feel that it's not going to work, personally I would hand sew it because of it, but there was already white showing and you can see it's there too. So let's have a comparison. It's about the same amount. I think I might replace the needle and see if it works better. Let's see if that makes any difference whatsoever. Sometimes it will, sometimes it won't. is really hit and miss. I think it's a little bit better. If it is better, it's very minuscule amount. It's really not very much in it. Okay, so let's do the hem. Find the inside leg. So that's the inside leg seam. Roll over, roll down, and then pop it underneath. I've discovered with the other ones I didn't really need to pin, so I'm not going to bother. As long as the fabric isn't tight, it'll be fine. The top fabric's starting to wander, so I'm going to put that up and adjust it. That just means to say I've got to come in slightly from the edge, not by very much. There we go, that should do it. Come into the seam on this side and make sure that the seam is level when I get there. It really makes a difference to a job if you are able to machine sew a hem in. So here's my seam. Both pieces come over here, so I'm going to put that piece over there, fold it down and fold it over and make sure the seams are in line. It might walk slightly, but you should be okay. As I get there, straighten out the other side like I did before. Got my screwdriver here. That will hold it down for me. Bring that round and into place and carry on going. At least with the walking foot, it tends to keep all the stitches even on fabric like this. Come in here. Again, I'm going to switch that over to the other side so it's not so bulky. Keep the seam in line like that and then carry on stitching. And again, I'm just going to help that through. And then I'll do the other leg too. Thank you for joining me on this project. I decided to time myself, and the 2 pairs of trousers that I had to pre-measure and cut the hem off took a little bit longer than the ones that I could fold up and then cut the hem off. So just remember that when you're quoting for somebody, that there might be a slight discrepancy in time. That's if you charge by time. Some people charge by time, some people charge by items, so that's worth knowing. I'm sure she's going to be absolutely delighted for her cruise. She's got 4 new outfits to wear. They all look very cute. I thought they were very pretty. If you'd like to hear more from me, please subscribe, hit the bell button, and a few thumbs up would be absolutely brilliant. And in the meantime, take care. See you later. Ciao.